From the mid-1950s through to the early 1970s, ITC Entertainment, led by the formidable Lew Grade, pioneered lucrative American syndication alongside British broadcasts. ITC became famous for its slick action-adventure series like The Saint and The Persuaders. They also had a fascinating foray into sitcom and light entertainment co-productions and distribution deals. Join me as we explore the rarely discussed comedy side of this transatlantic empire, examining how these early British and American co-produced and co-distributed TV comedies attempted to find a common comedic language across the Atlantic. Lew Grade started in the entertainment industry as a dancer, known as Lew Grade, the dancer with the humorous feet. In about 1934, Grade went into partnership with Joe Collins, the father of Jackie and Joan Collins, becoming a talent agent in their company Collins and Grade. Their business relationship ended in 1945 and Lew formed a talent agency with his brother Leslie. They visited the United States, which allowed them to bring some big names back to the UK, including Bob Hope and Judy Garland. Meanwhile, Lew joined a consortium to bid for a franchise in the new ITV network, and Incorporated Television Company, also known as ITC Entertainment, was formed. ITC became a wholly owned subsidiary of ATV in 1957, with Grade as Deputy Managing Director and later as Managing Director. ATV programmes had bigger production budgets than their competitors due to having a financial advantage from subsidiaries like the talent agency, including the Moss Empire's theatre chain, record sales and music publishing via Pye Records and ATV Music, who then owned most of the Beatles' songs. Grade realised the importance of making films for the international market rather than solely for local subjects in Britain. He cautioned against making films with a small budget of £1 or £2 million if the goal was international reach. He applied the same generous financial commitment to TV series, leading to the first transatlantic success for ITV, The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1995 to 1960. It was a big success in the UK on ITV and in America on the CBS network. ITC Entertainment's first co-production was a comedy drama, The Halls of Ivy, with the William Morris Agency. It was based on a radio show of the same name. It starred British husband and wife actors Ronald Coleman and Benita Hume, who also starred in the radio version of the show. It was produced for both British and American audiences at a cost of approximately $50,000 per episode, about twice the cost of other drama productions made at the time. One season of 38 episodes was made and it was broadcast on CBS in 1954-55, then in the UK on ATV in 1969 as an afternoon filler. ITC's next US distribution deal was in 1955 for the American Western series Fury, also known as Brave Stallion. It was a much loved and enjoyed show, fondly remembered as a favourite Saturday morning children's show. There were 116 episodes over 5 seasons, and after the initial broadcast on NBC, it was repeated in the US on syndication for a further 6 years. Fury was shown in the UK on most ITV regions for various periods from February 56 to June 1966. From 1956 to 1960, ITC distributed the Gale Storm show, also titled Oh Susanna, that was primarily aimed at the US audiences. This was part of ITC's strategy for international distribution of American shows. It starred Gale Storm as cruise director Susanna Pomeroy on a ship travelling around the world. A cast of regular characters inhabits the ship and new situations are created as the ship moves from port to port. The series included song and dance numbers to take advantage of Miss Storm's hit recording career. It was broadcast in the UK on ATV, but I can only find records of a random selection of 14 of the 125 episodes being aired in June to September 1961. So Lew Grade wanted to make a comedy film series that would appeal on both sides of the Atlantic, starring Millicent Martin. He sent 6 comedy sketches of Martin to producer Sheldon Leonard, and he came up with the premise of From a Bird's Eye View. In the United States, it was originally planned to air on NBC in 1969-70, but it was held back for a year as a mid-season replacement. The series followed two international airline stewardesses, a scatterbrained Briton and a savvy American, as they flew the London European routes. Martin and co-star Patty Finlay both had official training at the BEA Training Centre in stewardess assistant duties, including meal presentation, bar service, address system and survival drill. The series ran for 16 25-minute colour episodes. It was not a big success in either the UK or the US. It was broadcast in the UK on ATV and Tyne Tees regions from December 1970 to June 71, then repeated on Tyne Tees in 72 and on LWT in 1973, 1975 and 1977. Shirley MacLaine agreed with Lew Grade that she would make a TV show for him if he would finance her in her own choice of movies. So Grade financed her in Desperate Characters in 1971 and The Possession of Joel Delaney in 1972. Despite the disappointing performance of From a Bird's Eye View, ITC and American producer Sheldon Leonard rehashed the format and used the same writers and crew for the Shirley MacLaine series, Shirley's World. That seems to have been a basic miscalculation because the show was also a flop. Shirley's World starred Shirley MacLaine as a photojournalist and John Gregson as her editor at World Illustrated magazine. MacLaine was extremely dissatisfied with the scripts and insisted on various changes. This resulted in the scripts being withheld from MacLaine until 48 hours before shooting. This might have been part of the reason MacLaine and her British crew developed a mutual dislike of each other during the making of the series. MacLaine told Johnny Carson it was crap and she was relieved it got cancelled. It seems everyone was relieved when it got cancelled. It was reported that Shirley MacLaine was paid $47,500 per episode. It was one of the most expensive television shows on the air at the time, mainly due to MacLaine's fee and shooting on location. The series was made on film rather than videotape used by most sitcoms by 1971. There was no studio audience and there's no laugh track, so each episode is like a mini feature film. Shirley's World first aired on ABC during the 1971-72 season. Immediately after the ABC broadcasts ended, the series was shown on London weekend television in the United Kingdom from January to May 1972. It was also shown at various times by ATV, Tyne Tees, Thames, Westwood, Ulster and Yorkshire ITV regions from 1972 to 1974. There is a DVD including all 17 episodes, so you can see it for yourself. Over the years, many American-made TV sitcoms like I Love Lucy, MASH and Friends have been popular in the UK. ITC had massive successes making action and adventure shows co-produced with American broadcasters like Danger Man and The Prisoner, where the excitement of the espionage and the movie-style presentation worked for all audiences, but it wasn't the same story with sitcoms. The limited success of sitcom co-productions can be attributed to differences in comedic preferences between British and American audiences, which present challenges when trying to create shows that aim to appeal to both groups. Generally, British comedy is characterised by subtlety and character-driven humour, while American comedy often favours more overt, plot-focused or exaggerated styles. In the UK, humour frequently emerges from characters who are flawed, unlikable, whereas in the US characters tend to be portrayed as more relatable, with humour deriving from their actions and reactions. British comedy may use slower pacing, darker themes, cynicism, awkward silences and understated responses, while American shows commonly employ a faster pace, optimistic scenarios and a feel-good tone. British audiences are familiar with sarcasm, irony, self-deprecation and innuendo, while American comedy tends to rely on straightforward setups, clear punchlines and pronounced performances. Given these differences, there is no single comedic approach that appeals equally to both audiences. As a result, American networks often reduce creative and financial risks by acquiring format rights to successful UK shows and adapting them for American audiences, as seen with adaptations like Till Death Us Depart and Ghosts. While sitcoms were not a success for ITC, two British-made comedy variety shows went down well in America. The Marty Feldman Comedy Machine was a 1971 comedy variety sketch series starring British comedian Marty Feldman. Scripts were written by Feldman, Spike Milligan, Rudy DeLuca, an American screenwriter and actor, Barry Levinson, an American film director, producer and screenwriter, and Larry Gelbart, American television writer and playwright. Comedy Machine was recorded at ATV's Elstree Studios. It features opening and closing titles animated by Terry Gilliam, as well as guest appearances by Spike Milligan, John Junkin and Francis de la Tour. The complete series was due to be released on DVD in the UK through Network in 2016, but it was postponed indefinitely for unspecified reasons. Sadly, Network went into liquidation and ceased trading in late May 2023, so the DVD was never produced. Probably the best known and most profitable ITC collaboration was The Muppet Show. Jim Henson produced two Muppet Show pilot episodes for ABC in 1974 and 1975, but neither went forward as a series. While other US networks rejected Henson's proposals, Lew Grade expressed enthusiasm for the project and agreed to co-produce The Muppet Show in the UK for the ITV network. The Muppet Show was recorded at the ATV Elstree Studios. The Muppet Variety Show had a special guest star each week, with British and American stars like Twiggy, Vincent Price, Ethel Merman and Cleo Lane, giving the show an international appeal. ITC sold the show to over 100 broadcasters worldwide. Season 3 in 1978 had a reported weekly worldwide audience of 235 million. The series premiered in the UK in September 1976 and ended in May 1981. 5 seasons totalling 120 episodes were broadcast on ATV and other ITV franchises in the UK and in syndication in the United States. British audiences have nearly always accepted American-made comedy productions. Cheers, Friends, even the US version of The Office. American audiences generally just don't have a taste for the innuendo, underdogs and cringe humour of British comedy. However, transpositions like the adaptation of British sitcoms into American hits like All in the Family, that was based on To Let Us Do Part, and more recently The Office, do work well when remade with a transatlantic twist. Maybe none of this would have happened without the early pioneering work of the ITC co-production era. The ITC Entertainment era was a foundational, if sometimes frustrating, experiment in international TV programming. While their action-adventure series cemented a globe-trotting image of British television, ITC's attempts at establishing a transatlantic sitcom mega-hit offers a valuable lesson in the complexities of cross-cultural humour. The logistical and creative hurdles ITC faced ultimately demonstrated that comedy, unlike action, is often difficult to translate. Nevertheless, this period was crucial in laying the groundwork for future Anglo-American collaborations, leaving behind a fascinating archive of forgotten comedies and near misses that truly tell the story of a company daring enough to try to make the world laugh together.